Hello and welcome. I'm diving deep with you on a very popular topic within the Tap the Potential family of business owners. And this topic is how to make your time worth $10,000 an hour. This is a topic I've been teaching on going on for maybe 8 years now. And it's one of our most requested trainings at Tap the Potential. And it grew out of my own experience as an overwhelmed entrepreneur. And I've been using these strategies for over 18 years. So I know they work. We have guided thousands of business owners through these strategies at Tap the Potential over the years. And we see time and time again that adopting a $10,000 an hour mindset is highly effective for us as entrepreneurs. So we're going to do a deep dive on this topic. I've updated the training. It's been on the podcast previously, but this is the most current version. And there will be two parts in this series. So, part one is focused on you, the business owner, and your $10,000 an hour mindset and helping you think about delegation. Part two is going to be focused on your team members and how to get them thinking about making their time worth more than $100 an hour or $1,000 an hour, and sometimes even getting to the point of their time being worth $10,000 an hour. And that is really the best because now we're not just talking about you, the business owner, working more effectively, but we're talking about getting your entire team working more effectively. So, what's included in this two-part training? Well, a lot. So I'm going to be bringing you my latest research on entrepreneurship and the difference between entrepreneurs who are thriving and those who are burning out. Entrepreneurs who are thriving, who have profitable businesses, are doing some things very differently than entrepreneurs who burn out and struggle with cash flow and profit for years and years. So I want to show you what those things are because those are definitely $10,000 an hour activities. So you're going to get highly focused on your most valuable activities and where to spend your time. And by the way, there is a chart of $10,000 an hour activities that accompanies this training. I recommend you print it out, laminate it, hang it over your computer monitor so your eye falls on it regularly, and it really helps you to stay focused. You're going to want to download this chart. It's available at tapthepotential.com/10K. So we're going to be going through what's in that chart of $10,000 an hour activities. I'm going to share with you how to avoid the most common and costly missteps when working on your business. I'm going to teach you the secret to multiplying your profit by 100 to 900% in less than 12 months' time. And near the end of this episode, there is a mind-blowing nugget. So you're going to want to hang in with me and make sure you stay on till the end. And I'm also going to share with you two very powerful questions to get you laser focused on your $10,000 an hour activities in your business. So here's the deal. I mentioned this grew out of my own experience. And I'm going to ask you a question just right off the bat. What if I told you that you only have 25 hours this week to get everything done that you need to get done? And going forward, you're only going to have 25 hours a week to get things done. Could you do it? Absolutely. Yes, you can. I am 100% confident that you can. And it all ties back to using this chart of $10,000 an hour activities and thinking strategically about how you use your time in your business. So my story, when I started my business years ago, I was a new mom, a newborn baby, and it was really important to me to have lots of time to enjoy her. And I didn't feel good about putting her in daycare for long hours. So I really checked in with myself and I said, Sabrina, if you have to put her in daycare, what's the longest you're willing to do it? And I said, 25 hours. And I don't know where that came from, but that to me just felt like that was the number, like no more than that, so that I would have lots of time to be involved in her life. And so that's what I did. And I had this newborn baby, new business. And I mean, as a new business owner, I was learning everything. And if you you remember when you were brand new in business, like there's so much to learn, right? You might be really good at the thing you do, but then there's all the business pieces that you have to learn. So I was learning marketing, I was learning sales, I was learning about bookkeeping and payroll and all the things. And I remember I dropped her off one morning at daycare, and I came home, and she had gotten sick overnight, and so there was all this laundry, like puke-filled laundry, and I could smell it when I walked in the door, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I have to do laundry. I can't just dive into work." And so I was in my laundry room, and I just had this meltdown because I felt so overwhelmed. I was like, "I really need to be working. I don't have time to be doing this laundry." And it was just all piling on me like, "How am I ever going to get it all done?" And after blubbering and, this big cry, all of a sudden I had this moment of clarity come over me, and I asked myself, "Sabrina, okay, if you can only get one thing done today, what's the one thing you can do today that's going to move this business forward?" And I had my answer as soon as I asked that question. I knew what I needed to do, and I just gave myself permission that if I could just get that one thing done, then everything else, it may get done, it may not happen. Maybe it happens 3 days from now or a week from now, but I knew my one thing that would really move the business forward, and that's what I went and did. And that is how I started surviving, running my business on 25 hours a week. But I wasn't just surviving, I really started to see the business growing, and it was because I was being very intentional in my use of time because my time was restricted. And one of the biggest life lessons that I have learned from this over the years is that limits force innovation and creativity. A 25-hour work week does not give me any time to be playing on social media during the day when I get tired. Like, I have 5 hours, I get in there, I knock it out. And that is so important because in my book, The 4-Week Vacation, I reviewed the literature on the best use of time for us as entrepreneurs and productivity. And this doesn't just pertain to entrepreneurs. This just is pertains to human beings who do knowledge work. When we're doing knowledge work, we can only be effective and productive for about 4 to 5 hours a day. And each of us has our peak moments during the day when we're really on. And then we have our other times of the day where we're not. For me, it's earlier in the morning. And then as the afternoon wears on, I get more and more fatigued, and I'm just not as quick on my feet. So and that's something I would encourage you to think about is when are you most productive? Because that's really where you're going to want to be intentional to block your time for doing these $10,000 an hour activities. So but I also want to circle back to that question that I was asking myself. What is the one thing that I can do today that's going to move the business forward? Well, about 10 years later, Gary Keller wrote a book called The One Thing. And I think he has a more elegant version of that question. And I've adopted it, and I encourage you to think about using it too. And his version of the question is, what is the one thing I can do right now such that everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Let that sink in. What is the one thing I can do right now such that everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Okay, so those are two powerful questions to help you orient yourself and get out of that place of overwhelm. So I want to talk about the survival trap because this is something that all the years I've been in business, I've fallen into the survival trap. I've seen other business owners fall into the survival trap. And it's on page 7 in your workbook that accompanies this training. And I really encourage you to think about this for yourself, that we need to have a vision of where we're going in our business. And that vision needs to include why we're doing what we're doing and it's our ultimate destination. And the reason we need that is because daily we are faced with decisions and opportunities, and we have to make decisions and decide, are we going to do this thing or not do this thing? And sometimes we'll make decisions because of immediate needs in the business, like, oh, a cash flow need. So we need to take on work from this less than ideal client. And we realize, it's not quite aligned with the sweet spot, but we'll do it anyway just to get some cash flowing in the business. That's a survival trap activity. And when you look at the diagram on page 7 of your workbook, you'll notice that on the one side, there's your vision, and the other side is a circle, and it represents the current moment in time. And anytime we make a decision that directly aligns with our vision, it's a $10,000 an hour activity because it's moving us closer to our vision. But there are times when we make these decisions that are somewhat aligned with what we're trying to accomplish, like a cash flow decision where you take on less than an ideal client. And if you notice that activity, if you track the trajectory of that over time, it actually moves you very far away from your vision. So that is not a $10,000 an hour activity. And so anything that we do that moves us closer to our vision and what we're trying to accomplish in our businesses is a $10,000 an hour activity. At Tap the Potential, the business owners we work with come to us because they want to have more time for what matters most, and they want to grow profitable businesses. And so the big question that I've been trying to solve all these years is, how do you grow a profitable business that gives you more time for what matters most, that doesn't take over your life? Because most businesses, when they grow, take over your life. So I created the Tap the Potential solution, which is the step-by-step path to designing your business so that it's sustainably profitable and it can grow without taking over your life, which means you have more time for what matters most. And we'll get into the Tap the Potential solution in a minute because it definitely has $10,000 an hour activities. Everything in the Tap the Potential solution is a $10,000 an hour activity. So now I want to talk to you about the when it comes to figuring out, well, what is a $10,000 an hour activity? One of the things I want you to understand is that if something's a $10,000 an hour activity for me, it may not be a $10,000 an hour activity for you. So you can't just look at the chart of $10,000 an hour activities and say, these are the only $10,000 an hour activities there are out there. These are examples, and it's just to help you get your mind in alignment with thinking about the difference between a $10, $100, $1,000 an hour activity versus a $10,000 an hour activity. So in today's training, one of the things I'm sharing with you is about how when we work from our strengths and we're doing something to serve the sweet spot of the business, and it makes the business repeatable. So there's systems that are in place, and it also makes the business less dependent on us over time. That's a $10,000 an hour activity. And that is reflective of being at a certain level in your business. So when I started my business, I wasn't doing things like that. Those weren't my $10,000 an hour activities. When I started my business, one of my $10,000 an hour activities was putting out a weekly newsletter with a blog post in it. So I had an article every week that I was writing. And that was a $10,000 an hour activity. One, because it helped me to market and connect with my clients, but it also helped me to learn about my clients and their needs. And I was doing that through the coaching that I was doing. Those blog articles, some of them are still in circulation today. One of my most popular ones, how to make your time, or not how to make your time worth $10,000 an hour, how to say no when it's not so simple, is an article that's been used over and over. And it's a topic that we teach our clients in the Better Business, Better Life program. And so it doesn't mean that when I wrote that article, that suddenly that week, $10,000 showed up in my bank account. But that article has been used in multiple ways that have generated revenue for the business or been a part of systems that we've created that have helped generate revenue for the business. And other articles that I wrote ended up being in the How to Hire the Best book series and in the 4-week vacation. And so those at the time did not lead to money in my bank account, but they did become something bigger over time. And it helped me as a thought leader formulate my thinking. And so you may not be in a role where writing blog posts or speaking is something that really moves the business forward. And also it ties into what are your unique gifts and strengths as the business owner, and how can you serve the business from your unique gifts and strengths. And we don't want to just think about it from the perspective of us as business owners. We also need to think about our team members and what are their unique strengths and talents, and how might they show up and serve the business. So, and again, it all ties to what is your current level of business growth? Where are you in your business? So one opportunity that I want to extend to you is to take our Better Business, Better Life assessment. where you will get the opportunity to get your customized chart of not let me back up. You will get your opportunity to get your customized list of $10,000 an hour activities based on where you are currently in your business and the gaps that exist in your business. These are the activities that will improve your quality of life and allow the business to grow profitably without your daily involvement. And it's all based on where your business is currently. So you can take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. And this is where you're going to get much more customized information just for you based on what's going on in your business. When you take that assessment, we have a special gift for you. We will send you a signed copy of my book, The 4-Week Vacation. So again, head on over to tapthepotential.com/assessment. Okay, so when you take the assessment, you will also learn about your level of burnout. And that is very important because burnout for us entrepreneurs sneaks on. It comes on gradually. We're like the frog in the boiling pot of water. We work harder and harder, and we think, I can manage this. I've got this. I hope I don't have to do this for 20 years, but I can do this in the interim. And then before you know it, you wake up and you don't feel like going into work, or you find yourself dragging, you find yourself procrastinating, not getting things done. You may feel like, boy, I've put in 60 hours this week, but I don't know what I did that was meaningful. And those are all indications you're in burnout. Another sign is when you feel increasingly cynical about people, your clients, your team members. That's a sign of burnout. When you feel like no one understands you and the stressors you experience, that's a sign of burnout. And so I think it's very important to take that assessment so you learn about your level of burnout. One of the things that has come out of our research, we've collected data at this point from over 700 entrepreneurs. We've analyzed the data on 225, and 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs is burning out. 9 out of 10 experience the business as being overly dependent on them. And here's a key finding that ties to a $10,000 an hour activity. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs have no system in their business to attract A players to the team. That turns out to be a very important system because when you are able to attract A players to your team, you feel confident in letting warm body team members go. Warm body team members eat up a lot of our mental energy because we're always trying to figure out what are we going to do with them. They keep messing up. I've talked to them over and over. I can't get them to see, and they got to do something differently. But yet we hang on to them because we feel like we can't replace them and we need warm bodies just to get some of the work done sometime. And so when you have a system in place to attract A players to your team, that's a $10,000 an hour activity because it allows you to hire A players that you can delegate work to, take more and more off your plate, which opens up the opportunity for the business to grow profitably without you having to work longer hours. So that is a $10,000 an hour activities. That is a $10,000 an hour activity. You can learn the How to Hire the Best system. I wrote about it in my book, How to Hire the Best. We have a course at Tap the Potential on how to hire the best. You can access that at tapthepotential.com/course. So a lot of these $10,000 an hour activities are not hard. They are skill sets and they are ways of thinking in the business that help the business to advance. And one of the things that I'm so aware of is when we start our businesses, we say yes to every opportunity that comes our way because we got to get cash flowing in the business. But that mindset doesn't serve us over time. And actually, it can undermine us over time. So when we start using the $10,000 an hour thinking, we start being more mindful about what we say yes to in the business and what we say no to. I have turned down business recently for speaking engagements that just did not align with my messaging. And the reason, even though I was going to get paid really well, the reason I turned them down is because I would have to come up with a whole new speech. And if you've ever done a keynote, it's not just stand up there for 45 minutes and deliver. There's a lot of prep time that goes into creating a really good keynote. And so I know, yes, I could get paid really well for that, but that is going to be at least 40 to 100 hours of my time to create a new keynote and deliver it exceptionally well that I could use elsewhere in the business more effectively to serve our sweet spot of the business, which is the sweet spot. By the way, that's also in your workbook. You'll see a Venn diagram. That is the intersection of your top clients, what the business does that uniquely serves them, and the systems that you put in place around that. And so everything that we do in the business, once we know the sweet spot of the business, we want to make decisions around, does this serve the sweet spot or does it not? And when it serves the sweet spot, it has the potential to be a $10,000 an hour activity. It may not always be a $10,000 an hour activity. There could be, and this is one of the areas that I think is, I've encountered a lot of entrepreneurs who really struggle with this, because sometimes we have these clients that pay a lot of money for whatever it is that we do. And there are top paying clients, and maybe they're paying thousands more than the rest of our clients. And because of that, we feel really beholden to them, and we start doing things that are uniquely suited to serve them. But the rest of our business, those things that we're doing for them don't really translate for the other clients and customers that we serve. And so we have to be really careful when we're defining our sweet spot and who our top clients are. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But there's a lot of thinking when you're thinking about a $10,000 an hour activity. You really need to make sure that it's something that is scalable, that has relevance across the business. Okay, so I also want to share with you what's coming out of our research around those entrepreneurs who are thriving. They're not burning out. They have good revenue. They have profitable businesses. 1 out of 10 entrepreneurs has that situation going on. 9 out of 10 are burning out. So we're really looking at in our research, what is the difference? Like, what are the key things that they're doing differently? I think one of the key things is really interesting, and that is they have almost double the number of systems in place in their business. Okay. So I hear that and I get really excited. I'm like, okay, so that means I should just go put more systems in my business and then everything will be better. And so maybe every system is a $10,000 an hour activity. No. And here's why. Years ago, I was at a conference and the closing keynote speaker challenged us, and he said, if you leave here and you commit to putting one system in place in your business every week for the next 52 weeks, when we're back here in a year from now, your business is going to be so much more streamlined and scalable, and things are going to be running so much more smoothly than they are now. And I heard that and I thought, oh yeah, he's right. And so I came back from that conference and I shared this challenge with my team, and I said, we need to put a system in place a week, one a week. And you know what? After about 6 weeks, what we did not have an easier, more streamlined business. We had a lot of chaos. We had a lot of half-done systems, and I could just see it growing exponentially from there. And so that's what got me really curious when I looked at our research and we saw that entrepreneurs who are thriving have almost double the number of systems in place. I got really curious and I started asking a better question, and that is, what systems? Which ones are the most effective in making the business scalable, where it's less dependent on the business owner and contribute to a high quality of life for the business owner? And those are $10,000 an hour activities. So the first $10,000 an hour activity is setting your business up so that it can run without you. And that's the entire Tap the Potential solution. Another one is designing your business to be sustainably profitable with the Profit First system in your business. Here's why that's a $10,000 an hour activity. So if you look over at this chart of $10,000 an hour activities, you'll see like basic bookkeeping is a $10 an hour activity versus putting Profit First in place in your business is a $10,000 an hour activity. When you put Profit First in place in your business, you're setting up a system so that every time money comes into the business, it's being allocated to profit, owner's pay, operating expenses, and taxes. So your money is being set aside and you are immediately profitable because of that, just because it's a system and you do it repeatedly, and it allows the profit to start growing in your business. This has a huge impact over time. First off, in the first week, it's like a confidence boost, like, oh my gosh, there's profit there. And oh my goodness, now we're working on owner's pay and making sure that you as the owner get paid appropriately. But this system allows profit and owner's pay to grow over time as the revenue of the business grows. And as one who's coached business owners for many years, one of the things that I see when you don't have profit first in place is that owner's pay is the first thing to get cut as the business grows. And it's so counterintuitive because you would think that as the revenue increases, you, the owner, would get paid more. But what ends up happening is you have to figure out how to hire and delegate and grow the team, which cuts into your owner's pay. And a lot of business owners will go out and hire for high level roles too quickly, and they'll overpay team members. And if you don't know how to hire A players, you probably make a lot of hiring mistakes and you have high turnover in the business. And all of a sudden, what was available for owner's pay and profit when it was just you or an assistant in the business, and now there's a big team, all of a sudden you lose your profit and owner's pay. So when you put profit first in place, it's step one in the Tap the Potential solution because you're designing the business to be sustainably profitable as it grows going forward. It puts the guardrails in place. So another $10,000 an hour activity is creating a system for engaging with high quality clients and avoiding poor or distracting customers. So, a $10 an hour activity would be cold calling because you're just randomly calling people and there's no clear plan. You haven't identified an avatar of an ideal client. And so you don't know what you're going to get, and you're probably going to get a lot of no's and phones slammed on you. So that's a $10 an hour activity. But when you take the time to identify the sweet spot of the business and you identify who are your ideal clients and customers that really value what you have to offer, and you know what their specific challenges are, and you have figured out how to convey the value of what you have to offer, all of that is baked into identifying the sweet spot of the business and niching down that clearly defined sweet spot. And so you have a system in place that attracts the right people, deters the wrong people, and that frees up your time and it allows you to use your limited resources in the business more and more efficiently. So if you're dealing with a customer complaint and you're solving a customer complaint, that's $100 an hour activity. But I'll caution you on that because sometimes you could be losing money with that. If you're dealing with clients and customers who don't fit your ideal client profile, they're not in the sweet spot of the business, and you're getting a lot of complaints from them, that's eating up your time and the team's time. And you're just trying to make them happy so they don't go out there and leave a bad review for you somewhere. But it could be sucking up a lot of valuable time on the team for you to be doing that. So it's much more valuable to really identify the sweet spot of the business and have a system for attracting the right people and deterring the wrong people. And what I see when it comes to burnout, one of the things that burns us out as business owners is the time that we spend after hours thinking about issues and problems in the business. 90% of the issues that we're thinking about are people problems. And so when we can eliminate poor quality clients and customers and poor quality team members and not have those issues in our business, our quality of life goes up. We're going to be less burned out. We have much more opportunity to thrive, but we also have an opportunity to focus more attention and energy on our better team members and our better clients, which allows us to create more value for those better clients, which adds margin. So that ties into step 3 of the Tap the Potential solution, which is adding value and creating margin, innovation. It's such an important concept in our businesses. And when we are bogged down in our $10 an hour activities, we don't have time and our team doesn't have time to think about how can we serve our top clients better and better. So innovation is a $10,000 an hour activity. Another $10,000 an hour activity is creating a system to ensure that every member of your team exhibits high enthusiasm for their role and its impact on the business. And so much of this is baked into how to hire the best and hiring in a way that you're hiring A players. They understand the role that you're hiring them for, and they understand how that role serves your top clients and customers. And you have really set your team members up to be the hero in serving your top clients and customers. And you've systematized all of that. That is a $10,000 an hour activity because It pertains to retaining your A players. It pertains to your A players wanting to innovate, to add value for your top clients and customers. So they will want to do that. And that's a $10,000 an hour activity when you have your A players who are innovating. And it increases the value that you're providing. So that impacts revenue and it impacts profit. So those are some key examples of $10,000 an hour activities. Another $10,000 an hour activity is setting the business up so that every role has redundancy. And this is critical. It's more of a challenge because it's not something you can do right away. Sometimes you're just trying to get all the roles hired for, much less thinking about redundancy. But I really encourage you to think about this because I talk a lot about business owners getting things off of their plate and delegating so that they can take a 4-week vacation and fully unplug. But it's not just the business owner that needs that opportunity. Every member of your team deserves the opportunity to take vacation or sick days and be fully unplugged. And time again, I hear from business owners that they have a couple of key people on their team that if they were out or they lost them, they wouldn't know what to do because they do essential functions in the business that no one else knows what to do or knows how to do. But the other thing is when I talk with team members, I hear, well, yes, I take vacation, but I have to work really hard before I leave on vacation. And the work piles up. And when I get back, I feel so overwhelmed. I feel like I have to put in a 60-hour week just to catch up. And so that means there was no redundancy for that role. And so or they will take work and do it on vacation, which is the worst. You don't want that happening because that's going to contribute to them burning out. And you don't want your A players to burn out, but your A players are the very ones who will say, well, this needed to get done. So I took it with me and I did it on vacation. And then they burn out and then you lose them. So starting to think through how are you going to create redundancy so that your team members have the opportunity to be able to be away and the work still gets done. And that makes the business less dependent on any one individual. And that is a huge $10,000 an hour activity because it means there's going to be fewer crises, fewer moments of chaos for everyone on the team because there's going to be systems and there's going to be people who can do things on a backup basis. And another caution I want to give you around this is that when team members take time off, responsibilities should not go up the accountability chart. They should go down the accountability chart. And here's why. So if it delegates up, so like if you're the business owner and you have a key team member who takes vacation and now you're picking up all their responsibilities, first off, that's going to be really overwhelming. But second of all, what happens is the people who are at the lower levels of the role chart are being deprived of the opportunity to show what they're capable of. And so you always want to have the mindset when someone's taking time off that responsibilities get delegated down the accountability chart. And it really allows people who are at the lower levels of the accountability chart to show what they're capable of. And then as team members come back from sick time or vacation time, instead of taking everything back, be strategic and look at what responsibilities can the person who was doing them for that period of time keep, because they should keep a lot of that because they've shown and demonstrated that they're capable of doing that. So this creates automatic opportunities for advancement throughout your business. And that's what A players crave the most. So retaining your A players, anything you're doing to retain A players is a $10,000 an hour activity. And creating these opportunities for advancement for A players on your team is definitely a $10,000 an hour activity. So we've gone through some key components of the Tap the Potential solution. And now I want to talk about some mistakes that we business owners make when it comes to the choices we make in our business and that keep us from focusing on our $10,000 an hour activities. And the first one I want to talk about is your relationship with your business. So many of us are in these dysfunctional relationships with our businesses. And here's what I mean. When we're in the startup phase, our businesses are like our babies. They demand our constant attention and nurturing to survive. and we pour our whole selves into making sure those businesses survive. But at some point, our businesses need to grow up and run without our constant care and oversight. And I mean, can you imagine trying to rock your teenage son or daughter to sleep at night? Like that image, I have a 17-year-old, and that image is just makes me laugh when I think about rocking her to sleep at night. It's ludicrous. We wouldn't do that with our kids, but many of us do this in our businesses. Like we set our businesses up so that they continually depend on us and they need us for everything. And one of the things that I think is so interesting is when I researched entrepreneurs and how much time they're able to be away from their business fully unplugged. Of the 225 entrepreneurs that we surveyed, the average length in business is 12 years. And do you know the most frequently reported number of days they're able to be away from their business fully unplugged is 0. So imagine like just being tied to your job for 12 years, no vacation where you can just totally unplug. And so we create these really dysfunctional relationships with our businesses. We create this codependency. And so every time we hold on to something and we don't delegate, we are creating dysfunction in our business. And it's a very unhealthy relationship. So we want to give our team members those opportunities to grow. And another mistake ties right into this is that we teach others how to treat us. So when we jump in and we fix things and we handle all the problems, we're teaching our clients, our customers, our vendors, our team members, everyone around us that we're the chief problem solver. Every problem needs to come to us. And so guess what? It's going to keep coming to us. And so we need to shift. We need to shift our mentality and start looking for how do I empower the people around me to solve problems and think on their own. And when we are doing everything in the business and we do all those $10 an hour activities, there's an opportunity cost because when we're so busy doing 40 to 60 hours of $10, $100, even $1,000 an hour activities, we're never getting around to doing the $10,000 an hour activities that really grow the business. And I hear this over and over from business owners. So, we could, I think we could talk about this as like, let's get into the confessions of high level entrepreneurs and the things that we do that just undermine ourselves. And I'll tell you, one of them is just jumping in and doing something because you can. And it's easier and it just gets you through the moment and it makes things move faster. You're undermining yourself. You're undermining your business's ability to start growing without depending fully on you. One of the statements that I hear over and over from business owners, well, I don't have time to delegate. It's just easier if I do it. It's going to take me too long to teach someone. And have you ever said that to yourself? I certainly have. But here's the reality about this. Yes, in this moment, it absolutely is going to be faster for you to just jump in and do that. But if that's how you want to run your business from this day forward, and you want to be one of those entrepreneurs who can't unplug for any days at all in your business over the course of 12 years, you should absolutely keep doing things that way. But if you want your business to grow up and not depend on you and to be able to run without your daily involvement, you need to start delegating and taking the time. Slowing things down can really speed things up. So when you slow down and you take the time to train a team member, right now I'm training a team member on something very complex in our business. And she said, I really want to learn how to do this, Dr. Sabrina. And before she had said that, I was thinking it's just going to take too much time and it adds to her plate. But when I heard her say, I really want to do this, that's when I knew I needed to slow it down and take the time and start training her on how to do these things. And it's going to make our business better because there will be somebody else in the business who knows how to do this high level activity that to this point, it's just been me doing it. So let's talk about what it really means to work on the business and clarify that these $10,000 an hour activities are things that serve a top client or customer in relation to the sweet spot of the business. And I want to break this down because this is where there's a real golden nugget. And that is that there's two aspects to this golden nugget. One is working from our strengths, because when we work from our strengths, we our work energizes us. We get excited to do these things. When we're working outside of our strengths, when we're working from our Achilles heels, we will make mistakes. We will procrastinate. Things take a lot of time. It's hard to learn new things because it just doesn't align with our strengths. So, every A player in your business who is intrinsically motivated, who is excited to show up and do a good job just for the sake of doing a good job, who loves solving problems, every A player, when they have a result that they're responsible for delivering and it aligns with their strengths, is going to be 900 to 1200% more productive. Okay, so that's part of this golden nugget. The second part of this golden nugget is really understanding the 80-20 principle and applying it to the sweet spot of the business. So think about it from this perspective. If you have a business that's doing $1 million in revenue, then 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of your clients and customers. That's remarkable. And so a lot of times we will put our attention and energy into serving all of our clients and customers. Will say, and I did this too. I want to say, like, everybody matters. I don't want to treat anyone differently. So everybody got the same level of attention and care. And what I came to realize is that was not sustainable over time. It wasn't sustainable for me. And it really wasn't sustainable when I started adding team members, because our tendency when we add team members is to say, you know what, I'm going to get them working over here with these more difficult clients and customers. Well, those more difficult client and customers are only responsible for 20% of the revenue, but they take up so much of the time. They take up 80% of the time. Right? So when we add to our payroll, and payroll is our biggest expense, when we add to our payroll so that we can serve our less valuable clients and customers, we are decreasing the profitability right off the bat of our businesses. And so the golden nugget really comes to understanding that when we make decisions to serve the top 20% of our clients and customers who are responsible for 80% of the revenue, and we hire team members to serve those individuals and really understand what it is that they value most that we're delivering, and we put systems in place and we spend the time to learn what their needs are so we can do micro innovations. You don't have to do big sweeping innovations, micro innovations that allow us to serve them better and better. Now we're creating more value in the business. And so the golden nugget here is to really look at who these 80% of your clients and customers are that are only responsible for 20% of the business, the revenue in the business, and be honest and do a time audit and look at how much of your time and how much of your team's time is going to serve them. What if you were to focus your time more intensively on your sweet spot clients, the top 20%, and innovate so that they would pay 25% more over the course of the year? If that were to happen, or if they spent 25% more with you over the course of the year, that would replace the revenue from the 80% of clients who are only contributing to 20% of the revenue. So this kind of thinking really helps you to become more and more efficient in how you make decisions in the business. And when you're thinking about making your time worth $10,000 an hour, if you're serving clients and customers that are not contributing to the value of the business, it's not $10,000 an hour activity, and it actually could be costing you. But here's the other side of it. When you're spending time coaching up team members who are poor performing employees, who are difficult to coach, who make a little bit of improvement, but they're sliding back, and it feels like you have to put more energy in all the time just to get a little bit of performance out of them. When you're spending time doing that, that's actually costing you money. So on the chart of $10,000 an hour activities, that's listed as a $10 an hour activity, but I would caution you that it's actually where you're losing money in the business. Versus when you coach an A player, and they become more productive and effective because you're coaching them and you're investing time with them. That's a $10,000 an hour activity, especially when you've thought through what are the key results that they're responsible for, and you're supporting them and figuring out how they're going to apply their strengths to deliver those key results. That's where your A players will be 900 to 1200% more productive. So all these pieces come together. And one of the things that I want to say to you is if you're listening to this and you're getting all these ideas about, I need to do this $10,000 an hour activity, or I need to go do that one, don't just start trying to do them all at once. This is where I really encourage you to take our assessment and get that customized list of $10,000 an hour activities. You'll have that opportunity to meet with a member of our success team who will debrief your assessment and say, okay, given the level of your business where you are right now, these are the top one or two, maybe three, but we really try to limit what we give you because we don't want you getting spread too thin. We really want you to focus. And that's what makes us unique at Tap the Potential is we hold you accountable in our Better Business, Better Life program for moving forward, taking those small steps to move forward week to week on these $10,000 an hour activities that make your business better. And we give you a clear action plan. Like, here's where you need to focus first. Don't go do all these other things. Yes, those need to happen, but not right now. And so when you take our assessment, you're going to get your customized $10,000 an hour activities based on where the business is right now. You'll learn about your level of burnout. And we're going to send you a signed copy of my book, The 4-Week Vacation. So take the assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. And be sure to tune in next time because I'm going to walk you through how to teach your team members to think about their $10,000 an hour activities so that the value of their time is used more and more on high value activities versus low value activities. This is the key to successful delegation in your business. So tune back in for that one. Bye for now.